Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Snuggly Monkey Live. It's been a little bit since the last time I did one of these because I had been closed for summer break for a couple of weeks in June, and we as a family went to France, and so today I'm going to share with you some of my textile and thread treasures that I brought back with me from France. Hey Kimona, how are you? If you have been around Snuggly Monkey for a while, you may know the story that on March 12th of 2020, our family was supposed to go to France. We were supposed to fly to Paris that night, and of course the world shut down, so we didn't. Back then my girls were in a year-round school, and so we had this kind of 2.5-week trip all around France planned. By the time we were able to travel again, we had switched schools, so we ended up taking that trip and splitting it into two. 2 years ago we did the first half of it and we went to Brittany, and this year we did the second half of the trip, and we went to the Alsace region, which is the eastern half of France that borders Germany. It's an absolutely beautiful part of the country and of the world. It feels just like stepping into a fairy tale, into Beauty and the Beast. A lot of the villages in that area were used as inspiration by Disney for a lot of the Beauty and the Beast locations, and so that area has also switched throughout history back and forth between French and German rule. So it's a really, really interesting part of France, because it has kind of the influences of all the different cultures there. Anyway, we loved the Alsace. It was incredible. And then we went back to Paris. And so in Paris, I met up with my friend Rebecca Devaney and did her textile. She owns a company called Textile Tours of Paris. And 2 years ago, I did her textile tour, which was incredible. I did a whole reel on that when I came back from that trip. That's back on my feed somewhere back from 2022. And so this time she also does a guided tour through the flea markets of Paris. And so that's what I did with her this time. And that's where a lot of my treasures came from. I also went and scheduled visits with two suppliers that I've worked with for years, Maison Sajou, who I've been selling Sajou's threads and notions for about 10 years now. So it was great to finally meet Carolyn and Federic in person. We have spoken for 10 years via email, so it was great to see Sajou, to see everything, touch everything, and to actually meet them, and the whole staff there was great. And then I also went to see Soie, and I went back to their studio and sat down with Natalie for a while, and she kind of talked me through some of the other lines of thread, because right now I only stock the Soie d'Alger and the Soie perlée, but there's going to be several other more kinds of their thread coming in because I learned a lot from her, so I've got some of that to show you. Before I jump in, to showing you all this stuff, I did want to mention a couple of quick shop updates. So I only do 2 sales each year. The big one is in November, which is our customer appreciation sale, and that one it's timed, it's 20% off, but it's only from a certain set of hours. Newsletter subscribers get early access, all that kind of stuff. And then the other sale that I do is actually coming up next week, and it is around the anniversary of moving the business out of my house and into this studio space. So this year we're actually celebrating 3 years, which seems crazy to me that it's been 3 years already since we moved into this space. But so the anniversary sale will be happening next week. It'll start on Thursday online, and it's 15% off your whole order. Make sure to check your newsletters for the codes and all that good stuff. So that'll be coming up on Thursday, and it'll run Thursday through Sunday. So that one's like a weekend long thing. and in conjunction with that, we have a special open studio next week. So it'll be July 13th and 14th. We are open on Saturday the 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This year we're going to be doing demos throughout the weekend. So I'll be doing a Sajou demo. My friend Sudi Laura is coming and she'll be doing a big stitch quilting demo. We're going to have a demo on the mending loom, I believe, some felting. So there'll be a schedule very soon of when these demos are going to be happening. They'll be happening right outside on the breezeway here, and you can come by and learn and ask questions. So all that is going to be happening next weekend. All right, so let's jump in. Let's talk first about the flea market tour. So I'll be 100% honest, when I signed up for this flea market tour, I had a very different image in my head of what a flea market was. I thought that we would be going to, you know, like a Saturday pop-up stalls kind of thing. And that's not what it was. So in Paris, there are many of, they call them flea markets, but I don't know that I would call them a flea market. Because they're established stalls. Some of them look like little, some of them are little like booth shop kind of things. There are these alleyways, these like mazes of alleyways. I believe there's about 13 to 16 of them. Rebecca took us through 3 of them that specialize in textiles. And I could have wandered these markets on my own, absolutely. But I'm so glad I did the tour with her because she has an incredible wealth of knowledge. If you are interested in any sort of history of textiles, haute couture, anything like that, I would highly recommend signing up for her newsletter. It's free. She sends it out about once a month, and she always shares her knowledge. And there's like a long, usually not long, but like a decent size kind of little write-up of some interesting part of textile history. I love getting her newsletters every month. So she shares all this knowledge with you as you're doing the tours. Plus she knows many people that have the stalls. So she took us in to see things that I would have completely missed if I'd been walking around on my own. And yeah, and she knows where to go. After the tour ended, I tried making my way back to one of the stalls and I got completely turned around, completely lost. So I would have been lost without her. So I highly recommend her tour if you're interested in this kind of thing. Like I love going to antique shops. I love kind of looking for this kind of stuff normally. So this was right up my alley. Plus Rebecca's a fantastic storyteller, and she gives you the history of the area, how these markets came to be, the history of some of the pieces that you come across. She herself worked as an embroidery artist in haute couture, so she's got a lot of great stories. She's a great person, yeah. So so I highly recommend. Again, her website is Textile Tours of Paris. That's what she is on Instagram as well. If you're heading to Paris, look her up because she's great. So we went on the textile tour, the flea market tour, and there's so many things. Like I could have purchased a fireplace from a 16th century chateau and had it shipped back to me. Things that I would have never imagined seeing, they had available there. Obviously I didn't buy a fireplace, but I did come home with lots of little textile treasures. One of the first booths that we went to was all beads and sequins. I can't remember exactly. The stall has been there, I want to say, she told us close to like somewhere between 50 to 100 years. Like they've been there forever. It is, if you look at my post, there's a picture of all these little tiny wooden boxes just filled to the brim with beads and beads and sequins and kind of findings. That was that booth. And so it was so pretty, and there were so many little treasures. It was just stock full. I didn't even get to the part that had all the trim and the ribbons and all that kind of stuff. And the way that it worked was that you took this little tiny cup, and you could fill the cup with whatever you wanted from the bins in a certain section, and I think it was like €6 for that cup. So I don't really even use sequencer beads in my embroidery, but it was so pretty and it was just, I couldn't pass it up. So I ended up buying, so this is some of my little sequence haul. You could, like I said, you could pick from all the little bins and just put them in your cup. And then with the beads, it was the same thing. I tended to go more towards the seed beads, things that I could actually envision putting into my embroidery. But there were beads of all sizes. So if you're into making jewelry and you like kind of bigger piece, I've never seen so many beads in my life. Because it was all those little wooden boxes and they were like stacked on top of each other, so you just could keep digging forever. We found these little crocheted beads, which I thought would be really, really cute as zipper pulls on bags. So I grabbed a whole bunch of those. My daughter was with me, and so she grabbed a bunch of little things. And this little bag is chock full of stuff, so I'll try to hold it up. This is one of my daughter's finds. It's a little bunch of grapes there. But you can see this whole little bag is just chock full of all sorts of beautiful, beautiful beads that have been recovered from different shops and estates throughout France. So the bead stall was really fun. And like I said, there was little treasures everywhere. She had, if you're into like paper arts, journaling, mixed media kind of stuff, she had letters from handwritten letters from the 1800s that you could buy by the sheet, and keep for yourself or incorporate them into your projects. It was very interesting. It was really, really interesting. We then went to a stall that specialized in fans, hand fans, antique hand fans from all over the world, and had all sorts of other really interesting little things. But the thing that I fell in love with was these little sewing kits from, I believe they were like 17 and 1800s. They were stunning, and the man that ran that booth sat and talked to us and told us the stories behind all of the fans and where he had found them and where they came from. That was beautiful. I could not afford to bring any of those home with me, but they were beautiful to look and learn about. And then we started wandering into more of the textile stalls. So one of my favorite stalls that we went into was a woman who is kind of known through France for her textile collections and for the eye that she has. And so we got very fortunate that the day that we went, she had just come back from a trip where someone had opened up a chateau that had been closed since 1930, and they had called her because in the attic there were trunks and trunks of garments in like almost new, pristine condition. So she had gone to the chateau, brought them, and she had them in the shop when we got there. So we kind of went a little crazy because they haven't been touched since 1930, and you'll see the kind of the detail and the work on all of these. So most of these were undergarments, nightgowns, that kind of thing, but they would make really lovely little summer dresses. So my daughters picked up a couple of them. This is one. And when you really start looking at all of these garments, number one, you can look at all of the kind of lace, the eyelet and stitch work that was done here, but there's little tiny details, like there's this little pleat in the back. Here's another, this is actually a set that's the top of the set, and then it's got the coordinating bloomers, which were super duper cute. And then they also had this, which is a little pocket, and we were told that these were used to store your pajamas. So you would take these, put them inside the little pocket, close the flap, and then place this underneath your pillow, and that's how you would store your night clothing for the night. And you can see all the hand stitch work there, the monograms, the initials. it was so charming, and to hear the stories behind where all of this came from. They didn't really know a lot about the history of the chateau that this came from, so she couldn't tell us. She herself was pretty stumped as to why all of this. I mean, it was like several drawers full of stuff that was brand new, had not been touched, and it's in beautiful, beautiful condition. So we grabbed some of that, and then in that same booth, she had a lot of other home textiles. So pillowcases, duvets, tablecloths, all that kind of thing. And one of the things that Rebecca explained, so as you can see, all of this is white. Linens, home linens, especially in France, were white predominantly, until, I think she said it was after World War I or World War II, is when you started really starting to see color in textiles. And she said that it was because it was after the war, to start bringing up the morale in the country, they started introducing colors into the textiles. So the store was mostly all kind of white linens, and then there was a pop of color, which of course caught my eye because I love color so much. So I ended up grabbing, this is a tablecloth and napkin set that I brought home. The other thing that I loved about this was Rebecca. It's so cute. Then the cotton is so soft. It's delightful. Rebecca was also telling me that at this time in history, women were not permitted to be artists and to work in the fine arts. And so but they could work in the textile industry. So you had these incredibly talented female artists that were putting their art onto these textiles. And so you have this kind of history of women in textiles. So I loved it. So I brought home this tablecloth with me. And like I said, it has the matching little napkins. I loved the sweet little flower prints. The colors were so bright and vibrant. So I was really excited about all of these little textiles. So these kind of undergarments were all over the market in different stalls. Different stalls had different kinds of things. But they seem to be pretty popular today, being used as summer skirts, summer dresses, that kind of thing. They can be a little bit transparent, so you definitely need like a slip or something underneath. Anyone else living in a larger size body knows the challenge of finding clothes in larger sizes in other countries, but especially in vintage. I can almost never find anything, so I was really pleasantly surprised when I was able to find this underskirt that was large enough that it actually fits me. So I brought this one home to be able to wear it this summer. And again, it's just all of the details, the lace work here at the bottom that I found really just charming and beautiful. And again, the cotton, it's so different, right? Like the fabric that was used in the past compared to the fabric that we have access to now. It's thicker, it's softer, it lasts longer, and I love the history behind it. So there was another stall that takes all of these white textiles and she dyes them. And if you saw my post from a couple of days ago, that kind of rainbow array, that was her stall. And I was able to find this dress there. I loved the color of it. Like I said, it's nice and generously sized, so I can wear it. This was not an undergarment, so the cotton is actually thicker. It's not transparent, you can't see through it. One of the really, what I find to be super charming bits is the hand-stitched initials right there. We saw a lot of, there was this ribbon that would have initials on it. And so what we were told was that it was very commonplace for people to stitch that little ribbon into their garments, especially when they, went away to boarding schools or whatnot, to be able to identify their clothes. So as we were looking kind of through all of these garments, you would see all of these little kind of personalizations on them. I found it just lovely. So I'm really excited about these kind of garment finds, and I'm excited to start wearing them, especially with how hot it is here. It'll be really nice and refreshing to have some nice cool clothes. But moving away from kind of garments, a couple other little textiles that I brought back. I seem to find myself with a growing collection of vintage hand-stitched handkerchiefs. Again, the work is so detailed and delicate, and this is actually a silk handkerchief. It's not cotton, so it's very fine, very delicate, and I really liked the stitch work on that. I could not pass this up. This is a little placemat with a little spot for your cup, so like a little snack mat. But take a look at those bullion knots. Look at that stitch work. Bullion knots are a challenge for me, so I'm super impressed with those little roses and all of that, all of the stitch work on that. So I thought that was super duper cute. I brought that back with me. And this I found digging through piles of stuff. This is about 3.5 meters of, it is a silk, I guess like a table runner maybe. But anyway, the fabric itself is silk, and then all of the thread and that is embroidered is all silk. So I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but the luster of this is just beautiful. The quality of the stitches, you can see even on the back, the work is so neat. I loved it. I picked this up, I put it down, I picked it up, and in the end, because I was trying to figure out, I like to try to always think of what I'm going to use something for. I don't like to just bring stuff back that's gonna sit on a shelf or something. And so I think this may end up draped over the cabinet behind me, but it'll be somewhere here in the shop. So if you come in, you'll be able to see this somewhere. It's gonna go somewhere on here, but it was so beautiful. And I did not find the prices to be outrageous by any stretch of the imagination, especially compared to vintage shops in the United States. Yeah, I went into a vintage shop here in Durham a month ago, and there was a t-shirt in there that I'm pretty positive I had in my closet back in the 90s that they wanted $40 for. And so it's nothing like that. Like this, like I said, this is longer than 12 feet, all hand-stitched silk, and I just saw the price tag on here, and it was €45, which I don't find expensive for that kind of the amount of work that went into making this and the quality of the materials. I think that was a very, very fair price. Somebody did ask in the comments if you're able to haggle, or if Rebecca would help you haggle. So before we went into the markets, she did explain that that is completely up to you. If you feel comfortable haggling, you are welcome. Almost everybody in Paris speaks English. Rebecca was there, to help with any translation issues. She would not haggle for you, which I 100% respect. But if you wanted to try and haggle, you are welcome to. I chose not to haggle. I felt the prices were very, very fair in all of the stalls as they were. And I respected what these folks are doing. I respected, they set their prices for a reason, and so I like I said, I thought the prices were very fair. But if you enjoy haggling, the other thing is I hate haggling. It is not my strong suit. I don't like it, so it would have made me very uncomfortable. But it is, if you are going and you're interested and you enjoy haggling, it is possible to do it if you would like to. All right. So the last kind of little piece of textile that I have here is these little placemats. Again, I love color. I saw the colors and I thought they were super cute. So I grabbed a couple of those for my table. Toweling. So If you've noticed, there's been a lot of new fabric coming into Snuggly Monkey recently. We actually just got a delivery yesterday of about 25 new bolts. And one of the things that I'm going to start bringing in is toweling, cotton toweling. So I already sell kitchen towels that you can use as embroidery blanks, but what will now be available is toweling by the yard. So you can, you know, buy table runner length pieces. I've seen folks make tops out of toweling. You can do all sorts of stuff. The cool part about toweling is that the edges already come hemmed, so there's very little sewing that you need to do in order to be able to turn it into a gift or a usable household item. So keep an eye out. The toweling is here. I just need to get it listed, so that will be listed up on the site pretty soon. All right, so textiles, the flea markets. There was so much. I had to. Suitcase space was limited. I had to keep that in mind. I picked up this cute little pin cushion, needle pointed pin cushion that I thought was really adorable. There was all sorts of ribbons. There were, you know, vintage thread bobbins, everything you could imagine. It was really just a delight. It was a delightful way to spend a morning. I learned a ton. I can't sing Rebecca's praises enough. She's a delightful person. She's really lovely to talk with. So I highly recommend the tour. And if you can't do the tour and you just want to wander, head over to these markets. One of the main markets that we went to, I think, was called Vernet. But I'm sure that if you Google, you know, textile markets in Paris, you'll be able to come up with them. It's worth a wander. It's very different. It's not like a flea market, what I would think of as a flea market here in the US. So that was the flea market tour. That was super duper fun. I enjoyed that. And then the next thing that I did was head down to Versailles, which is where Maison Sajou is now located, or has been located. They used to have a storefront in Paris, but that closed down during the pandemic. Then they had a stall in Bon Marché, which is like a big department store that's in Paris, but that didn't really work out super well. The space was too small for them, so now they just have their space in Versailles. Excuse me. The space in Versailles, it's not a storefront. If you contact them, if you're heading to Versailles and you want to see it, you can contact them and they will let folks in by appointment. They have, it's kind of similar to here, right? Where it's, what they really do there is they mail out all of their online and wholesale orders from this space. They do have 2 rooms that are set up in a somewhat retail-ish style so that you can see a lot of their things without kind of going into the more warehouse parts of things and where they ship their orders. But it's a great way to be able to see, and it's a charming building. It's you can see the Chateau of Versailles from their window. It's a really beautiful space. So for Sajou, I have stocked, I have their wool thread, the laine Saint-Pierre, and their embroidery floss, the Retour de Nord. I have the box sets of those in the shop, have done for years. All of their little cute stitching notions, their thread bobbin cards, thread organizers, all of that stuff. So it was fun to see some of the other stuff that I don't normally stock, but that I am considering. So Sajou has a lot of kits. For it, mostly cross stitch is what they have, but their kits are complete kits. They come in these little boxes. This is actually a needlepoint tapestry kit, and so it comes with full bobbins of their thread. It has the fabric in here, and then it has the stitching chart. They are in French, but with stitching charts. No, actually I lied. They're translated. So they're in both French and English in here. So that's one of their tapestry kits. This is one of their cross-stitch kits. My daughter actually picked this one up for herself as her souvenir from Paris. She's gonna make this little pillow for herself. And again, the kits contain, pull this stuff out. They include everything. They have the little backing fabric for your pillow. It has the linen to do the cross stitch pattern. It's got the cross stitch chart inside, and then it has all of your threads in order to do it. So kits from Sajou are available. Cross stitch is something that I struggle with trying to understand, because over the years I have tried to add cross stitch to the shop many times. At various points I've stocked Junebug and Darling pigeon coop designs, I've stocked Japanese kits, I've stocked caterpillar cross stitch, all sorts of things, and it doesn't sell very well, and so I stopped selling it. Every single open studio, I have folks coming in looking for cross stitch stuff. So I'm not sure if it's a Durham thing, if around here there's a very big cross stitch community and there isn't really a cross stitch store left anywhere near here, so I'm not sure if that's what's happening. Anyway, I'm saying all of this, that I would be more than happy to carry Sajou kits and try stocking them in the shop to give it another try. But if you've ever wondered why I don't have a lot of cross stitch, I have. In the last 13 years, I've tried many times, and they don't sell very well, so I end up not stocking them anymore. So that's kind of why I don't have a lot of their kits, but after seeing them in person, I might try a couple of them again. As far as I know, you're the only one that carries cross stitch. I do carry a lot of the materials that you need, right? Like I have a lot of linen and Aida. I just don't have a lot of like full cross stitch kits, but we'll see what happens. All right, so a couple other, so Sajou also has a lot of finished products rather. So like this is a little zipper bag that is made with waterproof fabric on both the lining on the outside. It's really nice and handy. So they sell things like this, where they have, they've got pin cushions. They have, this is a grocery bag that folds up. So they've got a lot of like finished products that are available. They have fabric. They have both printed fabric. So this is their Alsace fabric, which I had to grab, seeing as I just went to the Alsace. And then they also have fabric for needlework. So they have French linen that you can use for embroidery. They have 14 count natural linen fabric that can be used for cross stitch. This you will see in the shop very soon, because these folks have been asking me for 100% linen to stitch for embroidery for quite a while. So I have this in several colors, so you'll be seeing these on the website soon. But like I said, there's a lot of other fabric options with Sajou as well. They also have some different threads. So I'd never seen this, and I'd never touched it before. So this is called their Roquefort thread. It is a gimped cording that is made of Declon, I believe. I made myself notes, Draylon, because I knew I was gonna mess up all the kind of fine detail points. So what a gimped thread means is that it is a thread where the inner thread is very tightly twisted, and then there's a secondary thread that is wrapped around the inner one, so that it creates almost like a cord, like gimped cording, or that is used a lot in like upholstery, home decor kind of stuff. But you can use this in embroidery and in stitching, especially with couching work. So you would take this and then you would use another thread to couch it and attach it onto your fabric. I saw some examples in the shop using this, and I was really intrigued. So I got myself a couple different colors to play around with and see what I thought. So what it's made of, Dralon, D-R-A-L-O-N, is a synthetic polyacrylic fiber that is very, very soft. It's very strong, and it has, they say it has the appearance of wool. I can kind of see that, like it has a little bit of the kind of fuzzy fluffiness of wool. So yeah, so I'm going to experiment, play around with this. But if this is something you might be interested in, anything that I'm about to show you from Sajou or from Aubert à Soie, don't hesitate to send me a note, send me a message, send me whatever. If it's something that you think you would love to see in the store, because I am always open to customer suggestions. I love customer suggestions. So, so we'll see. You'll be seeing this in some of my experiments coming up. Something else that Sajou has that I think is really cute is they have a whole series of these little kind of DIY boxes and tins. So you get the little box and it has lid, it's just a little storage box. It comes with like the decorative outside that you can adhere to it once you're done. And then the top is a blank. So it comes with the cloth, the padding that you need. It's got some threads in here and then some ideas. So this is more, it's not a exact, well, this one isn't exact, I lied. So this one is to make this dahlia, but they also sell the tins without a specific pattern, so that if you wanted to make little decorative tins as gifts for yourself, whatever, they're really cute. It's a very cute way, different way. You know, folks are always looking for, I have so many embroidered hoops, what else can I do with this? You can make little decorative, little decorative boxes with it. And they have them, I think, in different shapes, different sizes. So that was fun to be able to see these in person. And that's kind of the best part, because a lot of what I do, similarly how many of you shop with me through the online world, a lot of what I do is through online as well. And so I don't often get the chance to see or touch all of this on my own. So being able to go to these places in person and see it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. So, all right, so that was Sajou. Oh, obviously, I haven't mentioned Paris this summer, the Olympics is happening. And we snuck in before the Olympics. Yes, please, a pincushion under a mason jar. Yes, that's another example, similar kind of thing. You can do the same kind of thing with mason jar lid and do little, use your embroideries that way. So that's another great suggestion. With the Olympics coming up, if you pay attention to the Olympics at all, this is Frige. This is the Olympics mascot. And I will be honest, for the first week, we didn't really know what Frige was. My daughters thought he was a blood drop, but he's not a blood drop. He is a Frige cap, which is the kind of French revolutionary cap. And they chose this as the mascot to symbolize freedom in France. He kind of grows on you. He's really stinking cute. And then obviously they have Frige on like everything. Crazy little pins all over the place. But if you head over to Maison Sajou's website right now, they have kind of Olympic-ified their whole website. So their logo now has Frige sitting on top of it. This almost, I think, same exact little stuffed animal is in a lot of their product photos. It's super cute. So there's the Olympic fever is real. Folks are excited about it, and I'm happy for everyone that is headed that way for the Olympics. My one word of wisdom is make sure to bring cooling methods of some kind with you. It is quite warm, and there is very, very little AC anywhere in Paris, in France. We got very lucky with weather in general, but the last couple of days in Paris were were warm. They were very, very warm. All right, so last day I went to Soie. If you are not familiar with Soie, it is a silk thread company. They have been around for over 200 years. They actually are turning 204 this year. And for those entire 200 years, it has been a family-owned business. Nathalie and Mark, who run it currently, are the 5th generation owners of Soie, and they are kind of the gold standard in silk embroidery thread. It is used by all the, fashion houses. It's very popular for hand embroidery, needlepoint, cross stitch. It's a beautiful thread. They have several different kinds of silk threads, and their range of colors is pretty astounding. So up to now, what I have really mostly carried is their Soie d'Alger, which is these little hanks here. And this is the 5mm size. There are over 500 colors available. I stock about 125 of them, and quite possibly increasing that very soon. So Soie d'Alger is a spun silk thread with 7 strands, so it's divisible. There's 2 different kinds of silk thread. There is spun and there's filament. So filament style or pure silk is kind of what it sounds like. So it is drawn in long filaments straight from the silk cocoons. It is the luster and the shine on it is quite brilliant. It's very strong, has strong tensile strength, but it feels a lot more, it feels like silk. So it has the kind of a little bit more raw feeling. Folks tend to be a little bit more intimidated by it. It does feel different than stitching with, say, cotton, if that's what you're most used to. Spun silk is made by taking the broken or leftover ends of the cocoons and spinning it the same way that you would spin cotton or wool. And so Soie d'Alger is a spun silk, which is what makes it kind of a great transition silk thread. It stitches a lot more like cotton if you're most comfortable with stitching cotton, and you want to try kind of veering into the world of silk threads. The Soie d'Alger is kind of a great starting point. It doesn't unravel when you tie it off, correct. So it's a lovely, lovely thread. The sheen that you get off of silk threads is incomparable. Cosmo is close. That's why I'm such a big fan of Cosmo, because to me, Cosmo cotton thread has that beautiful sheen that resembles the sheen of silk, but silk has its own luster to it. So this is what I've stocked. One thing that will definitely be coming is this is sold in these 5mm, and then they also have them available in 45 meter. I keep saying millimeter, it's 5 meter, and they have 45 meter hanks. I'm going to start stocking the 45 meter hanks in the neutral colors, so all of the whites and the black, because most often those are the colors that I will get orders for 15 skeins of black. And instead of folks having to buy all those little individual ones, I will start stocking the 45 meter size in those basic neutral colors fairly soon. And then I sat down with Nathalie and we talked about some of the other lines of thread that they have so that I could learn more about it and be kind of more aware of what to stock. So let's start out with the Soie. This is their Ovale. And so Ovale is a filament silk. So this is drawn straight from the cocoons. And it has a very beautiful luster and shine to it. It is a low twist filament, so it's a flat thread. Let me see if I can get this to show up on the camera. If you were able to see this in person, this thread actually looks flat, not necessarily round. So it doesn't have the tight twist of most other threads that you're familiar with. So this is really beautiful for things like satin stitches. It lays flat on your surface, and then it's fairly easy to work with. So this, they come in, she has them available in pre-coordinated sets. So I'll probably be stocking some of these soon. And it is the color range, they have 59 colors available in this style of thread. The next one that I took a look at is called Gobeline. And Gobeline is another filament style silk thread. It is much thinner. So this is a 2-ply thread. Let me pull this out. But it has a high twist. So it's not flat like the ovale that I just showed you. It has a high twist to it, so it's very thin and fine. Again, great for embroidery, great for couching. It's about the size of a single strand of cotton embroidery floss. So anything that you would use a single strand, any fine detailed work like that, you could use the Gobeline for. So that was one. And then there was Paris. And so this is their line of threads called Paris. And this is another filament style silk. It has 6 strands in it. And so it's a bit thicker. It's a bit thicker than the ovale as well. It's not as highly twisted as the Gobeline, and it is divisible, as you can see as I've pulled that open. So you can divide this down and stitch either with all 6 strands, stitch with just 2 or 1 or 3 to adjust your thickness. And because it isn't as highly twisted, similar to the ovale, it lays flatter rather than rounded. So for you can do any kind of stitches with it, but for satin stitching, any of those kind of full coverage stitches that you're looking to do, the Paris and the ovale are kind of great choices for that. So I like all 3 of those. I think they each provide something a little bit different for stitch work. So I will probably usually I start out with the sets. And if folks like the sets, then I kind of start getting into having individual colors available. So keep an eye out, probably towards the end of the summer, early fall, you'll start seeing some of these. And then the other thread, this is they call it Soie 1003. And this is a spun silk. So this is like the Soie légère. And this one is a 3-ply, and it's about the equivalent size as 1 strand of this. So remember, there's 7 strands in here. So if you were to divide this down to 1, you'd get the thickness of the 1003. The cool part about this one is that you can use this in a sewing machine. This will work in a home sewing machine as well as for hand stitching. Sorry, I'm having trouble pulling the thread out. There we go. All right, so this is a super fine thread. Again, about the same thickness as 1 strand of this. It's spun silk, so the luster is a little bit, the shine on it is, just a tiny bit less than, let me see if I can find something comparable that you can see. So spun silk, filament silk, the cameras don't do a great job of catching, but this one has a little bit more shine and luster to it as compared to the spun silk. I mean, and I'm talking like little, tiny little noticeable things. They all look like silk when you stitch with them. They all have that beautiful silk luster to it. It's just little tiny differences between all of these threads. So anyway, so those are some of the threads that she and I sat and talked about. I took a look at all the colors they had available, and you'll probably be seeing all 4 of those in the shop this fall, because I think they kind of open up different possibilities for different kinds of stitch work, different stitches, to be able to work with the different silk threads and try out whether you like filament style or spun silk or whatnot. So last couple of things, almost done. Soie also has some kits. So this is one of their kits that I picked up. My husband actually picked this one up. He thought it was super cute. So I'm going to stitch this one up for him. They are complete kits. They include the fabric and then have all of the Soie threads carded for you and ready to use. And then this is the last one. So they are also very excited about the Olympics coming, and so they this year have made these little ooh la la French kits where you get kind of a sample of different Soie threads to try out. They have a little motif suggestions on how you can kind of create your own design. It's really cute. So I'll probably be playing with that as I'm watching the opening ceremonies later on this month. Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers everything that I had to show you. This was a much longer live than normal, so thanks for everyone that hung out. But yeah, so kind of takeaways: check out Textile Tours of Paris, whether or not you're going to Paris. She's just got a wealth of knowledge. Her newsletter is fantastic. And she's also, I believe, recently started publishing or making available lists of textile related shops throughout Europe, not just in Paris. I think she's got a couple of different cities going now. She also gives you great restaurant recommendations. She's great. So Textile Tours of Paris, fantastic. Check them out. Yeah, keep an eye on both Maison Sajou and Soie in Snuggly Monkey, because I'll be expanding both of those within the next couple of months. You'll be seeing more of their products available. And if there's anything in particular that I showed you just now, or that you would like to see yourself in the shop, never hesitate to reach out. Send me an email, hello@snugglymonkey.com. And I love to hear your suggestions and your ideas. So thanks for sharing. You're a treasure. You're very, very sweet. Thank you for letting me ramble on about my trip. Anybody that travels knows that when you come home, you want to talk about everything, and yeah, you could talk about it for hours and hours. So I appreciate having the opportunity to share some of my finds and some of my experiences. Thank you so much for recommending Rebecca. She's amazing. Yes, I believe that this might be Leslie, who happened to be with Rebecca on her textile tour the day before I went on the flea market tour. So that was kind of cool. I'm so excited. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. It is my absolute pleasure. Yeah, so there you go. So keep an eye out. There'll be a Snuggly Monkey newsletter going out later on this afternoon with more information about the sale coming up next week. And sale weeks tend to be rather hectic around here, so I probably won't be doing a live next week, but the week after I'll be back with a kind of what's new, probably. All right. Yes, sorry I missed you. I know Rebecca told me that you had just been there the day before, and so I'm sorry that I missed you as well. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.